righty. Bringing this meeting to order. Mr. Hyde, would you please provide us with the invocation, sir?
Father, we thank you for your many blessings to us, and we pray that we will conduct the business of this county tonight within your will, and we ask for your discernment, wisdom, in making the decisions that we make here tonight. We pray these things in thy name. Amen.
Amen. So on the agenda, there are several items which have come up recently. And what I'm going to do, I have them all noted following some discussions with our finance director. But I'm going to go down each of these one at a time and get a vote to add, with the exception of one that I'm going to add to my agenda. I'm going to add under item 1 under my agenda, or I guess item A. This is a question regarding whether the circuit court clerk is currently in compliance with the 2012 Financial Management Act. So that will go under mine. I'm just going to add that. But from here on out, I'm going to be taking votes. So for under the report of the finance director, I'd like to add item number F, a discussion of adequate facilities tax.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. That's added as item F. Item G is a change in the judge's salary. Mr. Long, if you want to provide some detail on that one.
The courts provide the raise for the general sessions judge. The amount they provided last year was incorrect. And I was just going to give you the dollar figures. We're going to have to pay it, but it'll be an amendment that we'll bring back next month just for informational purposes, get as early as possible. It was off 1% on the raise last year.
They had a change.
The
So
amount they
moved.
The
provided.
state had a change?
No. We
It comes from, I think, the administrative office.
I'll second it.
we have a motion and a second.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
So is this, can you start back up? I mean, this is, how does this relate to the budget cycle on a salary increase? Because we're outside of the budget cycle, so help me understand why we have to do this.
Well, right now, the general sessions judge's salary is based on cost of living and based on the average cost of living. Last year, they provided us an amount for them for 4%. It was actually 5%. So the cost, which isn't great, but I was just giving you the information because it will have to be amended statutory. It's $1,843 for each judge, $5,529 total plus benefits. So we're estimating $6,576. Not a large amount, but it is off cycle, and just wanted to make you aware of it, and we'll bring something back next month.
This is a state requirement?
Yes, it was provided from the office, the administrative office of the court. It's a statutory requirement for
Support the
salaries.
finance director. It's a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Under new business, item new business C8. I'd like to add a request for funding for a data backup system for the sheriff's department.
Don't think it's funny, it's just to approve the contract, wasn't it? It's just to approve the contract.
So, excuse me, approval of a contract. So it's not additional. So approval of a contract.
So move.
We have a motion,
Second.
motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that one's added. The next one is for a security, approval of a contract for a two-factor security system.
Is that 9?
What's that?
That would be number 9. Same thing, C9. This would be C9.
What was,
8 was the data backup.
what was, okay, $7.
Yeah. And so C9 is secure, is two-factor authentication.
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay,
Barracuda contract.
item number 10 is, we had a series of requests from the election commission that came after, just a couple days ago, kind of after we had sent forward this agenda. Two of these I understood. I will admit that I did not understand two of the asks. I understood two of them that were requests for contracts. But Mr. Lawing, I may defer to you on the discussion of statutory change, but I didn't understand that there were any change to statute here. I did not understand that email.
No, it's something you guys can't approve, but I'll go through, but it's a statutory.
Okay, but anyway, it's.
What did he say?
Go ahead, Mr. Lawing.
Basically, they requested approval of 2 contracts. One of them is a prepayment, so it'll be expensed this year and next year, so we have county commission to approve those. The other one's a multi-year 3-year Comcast contract, so it'll go across 3 years, you'll need to approve it. The next one she asked for was for you guys to approve a purchase, but it's for $12,000. So we had a policy for $10,000, you know, statutory, anything that's not exempted by state statute has to be bid. You guys changed to $25,000, which would have, but under the 25, if it's 10,000 to 24,999, if it's not exempt from bidding, then it requires 3 quotes. We've asked her for 3 quotes. She asked for it to be on the agenda, but it's a question of the statute says that you get 3 quotes of practical less exempted. The policy mirrors the statute. And then the final item, we never received any information from finance. We don't know. We sent, and the email's in your packet. We sent her an email back from our office that we don't have any information on it, so I don't know exactly what it is. And it's in this packet right here. If they approve, we get your packets.
So,
Go ahead, Mr. Master.
so obviously it wasn't submitted in time to get on the agenda, so that kind of didn't go over the rule, but there's also no contract agreements for us to look like. I mean, is there anything for, is there
I've got it
supporting
on here for
documentation
you.
for the request?
If you approve it, I've sent the whole packet to the email, to the request, to what we've received in our office.
Okay.
The 2 contracts are, requests for items they need, they say quickly, and they would require your approval. But they are in this packet if you approve that. We're just waiting to pass out the packet and contingent upon approval.
Go
Two
ahead,
agenda,
Ms. Boyd.
I have 2 agenda things. Mr. Long was just reminding me, under C,
Well,
C.
we need to dispose of this one first,
Oh, I'm
Ms.
sorry.
Boyd. And I've entertained a motion to add these, or,
I mean, is this the question, I guess, did this go to the general operations committee for these requests, or? This would be, is this a structural request, or is this?
One of them is for, the Comcast is for just the cost of an internet line, and the other one's the cost of software. So I don't think they would need to go to general
Okay.
ops unless David disagrees, since he's committee. Those wouldn't really.
so, I don't typically do this, but I'll make a motion, to consider the Comcast and, what was the other one, Comcast contract and the software.
The software.
So I would make that motion, but not the others. Second?
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion on this one? All in favor of adding just those 2?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay,
That's 10.
that would be 10. Because I just don't understand the others. Okay, so if somebody else would like to make a motion on the other 2 items, these are material and we can at least understand them. So would you go ahead and pass out that packet now that we've added those?
Anything else we need to add to the agenda for it?
Ms. Boyd, you had an item.
2 items.
2 items. Oh, yeah, I do have that. There you go, sorry. Ms. Boyd? you- we-
Yes, I'm sorry. I was thinking and stepped into that a moment ago. I had 2 agenda items. Mr. Long was just reminding me, on the second page, under CC, the approval for the HMEP grant, I think, if my memory serves me, it was the prior grant that EMA presented to us in health and emergency, and he said there was no rush on it, and he would bring us the new one, and we just took the prior, so we have prior grant documents.
Did they approve that? I didn't approve it or not.
We asked him to bring us the new one. We told him we appreciated giving us a heads up, and we didn't want to approve it until we got the full this year's grant paperwork.
So what
That's
would,
CC.
so what would you like to do with that, Ms. Boyd?
It didn't make it out of health and emergency. We got the prior year grant papers because that's all he has at this time. He doesn't have to apply for it right now. He just wants to give us a heads up that this is what it looks like.
Okay,
And health and emergency has that, and we're waiting for when the actual this year, current year comes.
so that is CC,
C1C?
C1C.
C1C.
So
So we're requesting to remove that
Are
from
we
the
requesting to
agenda?
remove it?
Yes, if if my memory serves me right, that's what we decided in health and emergency.
And, Mr. Long, I think you and I spoke about potentially deferring this.
Yes, I think there's two ways you could pull it off or defer to next month to go to
Okay.
the emergency services.
If you want to pull it, that's fine, or we can defer it, either way, once we get to
defer
it. We'll just defer it, make it easy. Anything else, Ms. Boyd?
Yes, I wanted to talk about, attended a workshop with CTASC, and they suggested that in the months of maybe March, we start early having budget workshops, where we just get more familiar with what's in our budget and what the items are, so we're not so crunched, and we have more transparency and more time to discuss these items. So I would like this committee to discuss the possibility of scheduling some budget workshops for March, knowing that we don't have to vote, we don't have to have a quorum, we don't all have to be there, we can videotape them, and we'll have more time to discuss things.
Is that your motion?
Yes.
I'll second it.
Motion and a second for, this is item number, this would be C11, to stand up budget workshops in March. So this would be informational only and no deliberation, is that correct? Okay.
Vote on that.
Any further discussion on that?
And not looking for Mr. Long's office to provide presentations. We can talk about it, the department heads can come if they want to tell us something to get it in the queue, but just walking through it, no
I'm opposed to
decision.
this because we take vacation time for budget workshops, and I'm on a budget committee, and I don't want to be in the middle of the week and we have to take more vacation time or stuff. I mean, we've set aside time to do this. I don't understand unless we're doing a Saturday or Sunday.
Well, I think the motion was to, it would not require quorum, there would be no
No.
decision, it could be.
No decision.
Yeah.
We do discussion stuff that members want to be present for, and they might not be present for. I just got a problem.
Well,
That's a bad idea.
I sat in on this one Zoom, and it made all the sense in the world, and because it's not required, it's just an education. It's as if we were reading a book or something.
Well, it's just a question to
Yeah.
add this to the agenda,
Yeah,
not
yeah,
necessarily.
that's right.
So, any further discussion on adding it? All in favor?
Aye.
Any
No.
opposed? One no. Motion still carries. Any others? Okay. Motion to approve the agenda.
Second.
Motion and second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion carries. I don't know if, where is my, I don't know that I've seen these folks here in a while, for recognition of the public. Mr. Baker.
Yeah, Kevin Baker, 424 A.B. Wade Road. There's a bunch of things that I'd like to talk about, but I'm going to just generalize them. The deliberation, the quality of the deliberation that I've seen in the last year and a half is extraordinary. Compared to what I saw for the previous 8 years, I think in one meeting I see more than I saw in a whole year in specific committees. But that being said, I'd like to just make reference to your rules that were approved back in 2021 about procedures and resolutions and Section 9. In no case shall a proposal for an expenditure, appropriation, acquisition, contract, agreement, or deed be considered for approval by the commission without being accompanied by information to include, at a minimum, a full description of the items or projects, statement of need, estimated initial cost, alternate solutions, and reasons for the recommended proposal, reoccurring expenses, associated contracts. You can read through that. Although I've seen a huge improvement and I appreciate the dialogue, I mean, honestly, I think I could count on one hand the number of times I heard the phrase group and approve from this organization, where in the past it was a common occurrence where things were just glommed together and rammed through. But I think there is some more room for improvement. Last week during emergency services, I got into a little bit of a heated discussion with the chairman and the director of our EMA, mainly because I didn't understand because the information wasn't there. We got that cleared up. And we've had a little gentleman's agreement to get that into the minutes ahead of time. I think the discussion we just had about putting this up on the minutes flies in the face of our rules. A lot of the consternation, I mean, I don't know how y'all can be expected to understand and then make decisions on something when you're handed a packet 5 minutes before you're expected to decide on it. And all I'm saying is, push back. There's no need. Most of these things can wait another month. Push back, due diligence. You know, you're talking about hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars in some instances. Push it back. Ask our people that are paid to do the jobs to come with certain required documents. I can tell you this, when I used to run a plant, if I ever went to my vice president and said, oh yeah, I want to buy a $500,000 piece of equipment, and went in with a 2-page document, he'd laugh me out of his office. You know, so take that to heart. You've done a heck of a job, and I appreciate that. I really do. There's just a little bit more room for improvement, and with that, I'll rest my case.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Laura Baker.
Laura Baker, 424 80 Lee Road. I was kind of piggybacking on the same thing. I won't take up long. All I want to say is, it seems to me that there's, I don't want to say a tension or something between the commission and all the other people who come to you for money. And that things are spoken for before it even gets to you, even though you're the funding body. I see on the agenda things that are spoken for from ARPA funding. Last year, we talked about a list from everybody and prioritizing that. Who's telling you that ARPA money should be, and maybe that's not what's happening, but that's what it looks like when we see an agenda, that ARPA money should be used for this, that, or the other thing. Really? Like, why is that being suggested to you? That's your decision. A need gets presented to you, and you get to decide that as the county commission as a whole, not just the budget committee, but the full commission. And like Kevin mentioned, the packets of information, you are the protection to the taxpayer. And it seems like it's departments and other constitutional officers coming in and telling you, and it's like this tension between you. No, it's supposed to be, everybody should be answering to the taxpayer, and I don't feel like that's what's happening. As Kevin referenced that presentation, or it wasn't even a presentation, it was Health and Emergency Services, but also at Highway, talking about raising people's salaries. People need to get paid. We don't want to be losing people. A lot of problems with that, and recruitment and all that kind of stuff. But you can't come and just ask for money and not say how it's going to be spent. With the SRO funding, which was state money, not even county money, which that's a whole other, I shouldn't even get down that path. But there was a very extensive analysis done. That was great work. Can't come in here and just say, give me $450,000, I'm going to throw it around the way that I want. Nobody can look at their constituents in the face and say, I've done my diligence on that. From the person who asked for it to you guys. So I'll done preaching. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Anybody else? Okay, no one else signed up. That's recognition of the public. Approval of the minutes from January 8th. I would entertain motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. So my report, it's a very simple question, and this came up during legislative, and this is just a question that I have for the finance director. Is the circuit clerk, I'll give you context, there was a question that came up during the legislative session regarding some directive that the commission has given the circuit clerk court and some clarification around procedures. And one item that came up during the discussion was whether or not the circuit clerk court is currently in compliance with the 2012 Financial Management Act. So I just want to get that clarification on the record.
They're not on the Chronos system.
So they're not on Chronos system. Does that mean that they are, that they are not, or that you can't tell?
My understanding is that everybody is to be on the one system.
Do we have a timeline for when they're supposed to be on there?
No, we've tried to contact some of the offices, but some of them have not responded.
Okay.
So I think that's going to be a discussion point at financial management, the next one in March.
Okay.
They're going to try to set a timetable.
Got it. Any other notes on this one? I just wanted to get that on the record because it came up during finance, or during, go ahead, Ms. Boyd.
Well, there's one issue that, just looking planning ahead a little bit, is one of the issues we're talking about with the holdback is gonna come to this committee in the near future, and it's gonna be about $250,000 expenditure that we're looking at paying these employees. So that's not a discussion for tonight, but I just want you to know that it is something that is being discussed in financial management and coming this way.
Thank you, ma'am.
Just slightly elaborate what's being
Go ahead.
discussed.
Go ahead.
There's about 228 employees that currently are not on Chronos and do not have a holdback, which means that when you're paid Thursday, it goes to the following Friday, so it's got a couple of issues. One, it makes it possible to correctly or adequately or even computerize the system properly with no holdback. It's been that way for many years. If you go back in the minutes, we discussed it in '09 and '10 after I first got here, and nobody's really changed anything at this point. We talked to, I believe it was Murfreesboro, and Murfreesboro had the same issue, and their kind of solution was to basically say if you were paid through that Thursday, they give them basically a week's worth of pay and move it back a week. It won't be a week's worth of pay at that time, but it will be sometime when they quit or retirement or terminate or whatever. So we do have to book it. But the thing is that will fix your issues of where you don't have a holdback.
Got it.
That's one of the financial management's, I think, recommendations is to make a holdback for the employees where we can automate the system, track them properly, and put them all into the Chronos system.
Thank you, sir. Portland County Mayor.
No report, Mr. Chairman.
All right, thank you. Mr. Long, your report.
First one's arbitrage rebate discussion. You may recall the same discussion probably about, it may be as much as 2 years ago now, or about a year and a half ago. You guys were here, it was the new commission, so it's somewhere between, a year and a half at this point. All of our bonds that we issue, the actual earnings on them are tax exempt. So when we issue tax exempt bonds, that means our interest is actually low. So we are subject to the Internal Revenue Service, or actually the Treasury's arbitrage rebate rules. What that means is if we earn on average more interest on the investments than we do on the bonds, then we have to rebate that to the IRS. We did a midterm calculation on 2021 bonds. We were fine. We've done them on earlier bonds. We're currently doing the 2019 bonds. Every 5 years, you have to do the calculation. You have to rebate the excess. The excess interest is in the debt service fund. The rates have went up significantly, and we are not sure if you will or will not owe a rebate. My first feeling is you do not, but I can't guarantee that. So I'm just making you aware next month we may come back with an appropriation to pay back the IRS. It is required.
There's no need for any move or any motion.
There's only two ways to avoid it, and the one way is to buy investments below the rate or rebate the excess. If you buy investments below the rate, you're going to undershoot it, and it's going to cost you more money. So really, it's just interest you're not allowed to keep, and we're required to do the rebate. This is just to make the committee aware of it. Does anybody have any questions?
Yes, arbitrage on
Yeah, on your bonds.
Who do you rebate it to?
The Internal Revenue, through the Internal Revenue Service back to the United States Treasury.
Okay.
And there is certain very tight spend downs, and there's also rules on your debt service, qualified versus not in those calculations. To be a qualified debt service, you would actually be able to, at the low point, only hold 1/12 of your interest and principals from the previous year or earnings from the prior year. The lower would be the 1/12 of interest or principal. The issue you're going to run into is your debt service funds has things such as sales tax and adequate facilities tax. And in addition, we put the extra interest in there in case we have to do an arbitrage rebate. So you have what's called an unqualified debt service fund, which makes it a little more likely that we may have to rebate some of the excess interest. That's just a point of information. The next item is the ARPA discussion, and this is what I brought back, and part of it is based on what Mr. Klein's asked, and this is not a recommendation, so I'll make sure we're clear, because there has been some confusion. It looks like there's some confusion. So two things. The committee asked, I think it was Ms. Boyd, to go back and look at the ARPA expenditures that are currently approved. We do have a meeting set Thursday, I believe, at 2 p.m. with the ARPA consultants and Ms. Norfleet and myself and Ms. Boyd by remote. I don't know if Mr. Isabel could be there or not. To kind of discuss what the different options are. This sheet's a little different. It's kind of based on what I think was some of the requests from the community, especially David. If you look at these first three columns going from left to right, What you're gonna see is there's two things. One says expense general and one says expense revenue replacement. The general is the 27.1 million and the revenue replacement's the 10 million. It looks like a little convoluted, but each one of the columns serves a purpose. This is what you spent in 22, this is what you spent in 23, and this is what you spent in 24. That means these funds are already out the door and there's no way you can recover them. The next column, based on, going across, is the actual open POs we currently have on these projects. The far right is the actual remaining budget amount. So when you take those, we consolidate them on the far right, and that shows you, if you look on the bottom, what's available. If you go to the top, going left to right, the third column over, it'll say totals. General revenue, 27.1 some odd million. I might need to slow down. Does everybody follow me?
Mm-hmm.
That's the amount of revenue that we got for the general. If you go down, that's all the POs, remaining budget, and expenditures removed will leave you 2.6 some odd million dollars. Same thing, the next one's the revenue replacement will leave you 800 and some thousand, and the FAR would leave you the 3.4. But what this shows you, which I had a lot of questions, how committed are the funds? Well, the first three columns, are completely committed. They're spent. The next column are POs that we've got out that are contractually bound at this point, and the final is budget that's been promised to different projects. So that kind of shows you. Does anybody have any questions?
This is great.
Do you have an extra sheet? I've lost mine. We talked about it several times. I would like to have one in front of me.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
My understanding, based on the motion that we took last month, was to unencumber these funds and put them back in the general fund. So why are they still showing here? Because those,
I thought you said to stop projects so they could be evaluated, because a couple of things you're gonna run into if we're not really careful. Some of the projects that are already reported to the feds, we're gonna have to amend that back and look at it. And the other things, your time's running out. And for instance, like you wouldn't wanna unencumber the essential workers' money because we're still paying EMS and EMA.
I'm not talking about this, I'm not talking about that, I'm talking about this side of the paper. So that's not the
Right.
three right columns.
You mean that this one right here is what you're saying? The one, the remaining budget balances?
Well, both the open and the budget balances, both of those columns.
Well, the open POs are going to be POs that we already have that's been sent and contracted with vendors.
So the open POs, we need to strike that out as.
It's pretty much down the
Yeah.
road, just like the expenditures. The other ones are balances, and part of it's for, like, if you look across, some of that money would be your water lines out of the $10 million that you guys have affirmed, and
Well,
consultants, health department projects, and the EMS. And I hope I wasn't mistaken, but my understanding was that the projects were to be put on hold, and that Mr. Isabel, myself, Ms. Boyd, and Ms. Norfleet were to talk to the consultants to see what we could move to general expense and see which projects and bring
So,
back a listing.
I want to make a note here, and you may have just forgotten to do this.
To unencumber, we'd have to go to full commission.
Yeah, we have to go, if you unencumber these things, we've got to go to full commission. We
Right
can't
now, we just have to have a hold on it until something comes back from the consultants,
the
unless
other-
I misunderstood.
The other, yeah, that's right. So if we want to take a vote on that, that's fine. I will be against that, but if we want to take a vote on it, that's fine. But it would need to go to the full commission. Now, I just want to note that, maybe this is just a general note here. Sometimes the truth changes, but this is actually kind of speaks to what Ms. Baker had said earlier. During the last budget cycle, we took a list of ARPA, which had been kind of foisted upon us, and then we put out a call, because we kept getting these kind of inbounds, left and right, and we put out a call to have everybody who wanted ARPA to make the request. And we did that. We pared that down, and we came up with this. Now, again, we gave ourselves some wiggle room, right? I mean, there's a couple $1 million here that would remain unencumbered, and we probably need to look at spending because we don't want to waste that. However, I just want to note that this, if we wanted to go back and look at any particular item here, that item has been voted on by the full commission and approved during the last budget cycle by the full commission after a fairly comprehensive ARPA process. I just wanted to make that note.
Can I, oh, sorry.
Go ahead, no, go ahead.
No, I
Oh,
think
go
Mr.
ahead.
Mansfield, but there's 2 points that's probably maybe important to Mr. Mansfield's. If you also look on here, and if you go for the far right, the third one down, there's like 584,785. I show that because that's part of your encumbrances, but right now, if you look right above it, the 206,522 is also part of your encumbrances. Out of those totals, I'm only estimating you're gonna use 206,522 because we quit doing the ARPA with the sheriff's department.
Right.
So that, you're gonna have that fall back into these totals, back under the revenue replacement. And also, we got 500,000 more that we're probably gonna be returning for the consultants. And the reason the consultants had the larger dollars is you're allowed to do some very complex projects, and so far, we haven't done any really complex projects. And then one more thing before, Mr. Mason, if you just give me one more second before I forget. You put the projects on hold last month, but I do need a clarification. My understanding is the water lines are still moving forward, because they haven't sent me the request for the $5 million, or whatever amount, for the subrecipient agreement, 5.7, for the matching out of the $10 million. But I was anticipating they came, that we would be okay to pay it with the committee. Is that correct? I think everything you're wanting on hold temporary except for that, correct? And the payments.
Well, yeah, we voted on that specifically in the commission.
But last month you did mention, everything was put on hold, so I want to make sure we do understand we're still making these payments to EMS and EMA, and that I was anticipating making the payment for the water line. I just want to make sure, clarify that we're all okay with that.
Yes, the commission voted on that. I mean,
But the committee last month, that's what I'm
I
saying.
know, I
we're working
understand, but the full
committee
commission
and-
kind of, Mr. Mansfield.
So, I mean, so last month, I guess we put a hold on, I guess there's $3.5 million for EMS buildings, 660, 800 for health department. You know, understanding I was at the Health Emergency Services Committee this past week and heard the city of White House and read their letter that they, weren't wanting an EMS station there in White House. And that the health department, we were told the state's paying 100% of that, so I don't understand why this is in there for that at all, is what I heard during that committee. Somebody was.
Is that changed?
It was stated during that committee that the state was paying 100% of the cost of whatever improvements are being done to the health department.
Back in the
State money.
budget, we were told there was a match, so I don't know if that's changed. We haven't been told.
No,
They didn't mention that.
They'll pay 100% of the overages.
Oh.
They will not pay 100% of the project.
Wait, that's not the way I
That
understood
is
it.
not what was said.
No, it wasn't.
Exactly.
It was not gonna
exactly
cost
what
the
I said.
county a dime.
So,
The way I understood it, they're gonna use the ARPA funding, but if it went over the ARPA funding, it was gonna be covered 100%. Did I understand that? That's the way I understood
Oh,
it.
yeah.
Yeah,
So-
Where'd you have
this
the
is the
original?
match.
Right, yeah,
Mark
so the
amendment
original
right
match,
here.
we were still committed to, but anything over that, we were gonna,
so
would be okay.
just to be clear here, because I was not in that meeting, the 664,500 is our match in order to secure existing funds for the scope of work to improve the health department. And if, so that's one.
About the 660, 800?
The oh wait, did I get this?
668.
66800, sorry, I was looking at the wrong one. 66800. If the total cost of the project goes beyond what is currently scoped, the state will pick up that. Is
Right.
that the correct interpretation?
Yes.
Okay. So it sounds like there was some confusion on that. Mr.
So,
Mansfield?
I mean, understanding Commissioner Boyd's, and I'll let Commissioner Boyd speak to that, but what happened last month was asking for these money, and there was a recommendation even of CTAS, if I'm not mistaken, Commissioner Boyd, when you spoke with them, of absorbing these funds in the general fund so they're unencumbered, and then in using them as necessary in the future, but using them now for needs, so that we're not under these rules and obligations anymore. And that's a spirit, my understanding of what we voted on last month, correct?
Yes, that was it. And I did speak to CTASC afterwards, and they said they were glad we were getting on board, that had been the plan they had communicated to all the counties from the very beginning, is to spend the revenue replacement as soon as possible on items that we would use anyways.
Ambulances, patrol cars.
So I guess
Yes.
coming out of that, I don't want to step on anybody here. I guess coming out of that, this kind of answers my question, because what I had asked for was to understand which, what is encumbered and what is not encumbered. So I think using this, we can add up what is unencumbered and find a vote to say, let's go ahead and move that to the general fund. I think we can do that.
That's why I said we can bring back a list after we talk to the consultants about the best way.
Yeah, that's, so.
Because someone's been reported to the federal, and we gotta figure out what we can pull back.
Because I mean, that's what I think would make sense here. We can find out what that number is and say, all right, we're dumping that over into.
And to speak to, I was talking to Mr. Long before this, what's been reported to the federal is a bit different than what we see on here right now. Because they're still showing the forward Sumner at 1.6 million.
And I've asked for that, for correct.
So
Okay.
we still have, what's been reported to the Fed is significantly, in some areas, different.
Because this is the true truth as it is. As it
Not
sits.
what we've told the Feds, not what they
Well,
have.
no,
for
yeah,
us.
they're
gonna be
out of
yeah.
date.
But they're
This
gonna,
is right.
they're gonna amend, my understanding, they're gonna amend that, amend the forward Sumner 1.
So what the consultant said they would be prepared to do on Thursday at 2, and I don't know if we can expand to invite everybody there. When I explained to them that we were relatively, with 18 out of 24 new commissioners, new mayor, new people all over, they are prepared to give us a general overview of what other counties have done and what we might be I guess it's a matter of you don't know what you don't know. And they're prepared to provide some of that information on Thursday. If we can we open that up as an educational information for other people, Mr. Lawyer?
You can do that as long as any kind of deliberations open and noticed.
So we could all hear them, if anybody wanted to come and hear. With no deliberation.
My other question comes back, if me, the mayor, you, and Ms. Norfleet are bringing back any recommendations, that will need to be announced.
Yeah, that.
Yeah.
If we're making any recommendations, it needs to be announced meeting.
The one on Thursday?
If we're gonna make recommendations, I think we're
Yeah.
just gonna listen to the consultants for questions and
Yes.
answers Thursday.
It probably
And then meet
is,
again.
it is probably safest to just keep it to the small group. I think it's
Well,
probably
not,
safest.
we won't be able to meet. Will it be tight? We have to notice.
Well, no, what I'm saying is.
No, that's what I'm saying, keep it a small group, keep it to
But-
just you and no other commissioners.
They were kind of like on the whole idea that we're a new commission, that we might need to
No,
know
I
this.
understand that, but I'm on the idea of not wanting to get sued, I mean.
Well, if there's plenty of us there, we can,
I mean,
as long as we don't talk about, I mean, it's
I
educated. If
agree
we
with
don't,
you.
It would be
if we
better to
don't,
notice even that meeting.
Yes,
some people just love
So I
to
think
sue.
right
because
now
you
we
run the
need
risk
to-
of
We may
deliberation.
need to, if we noticed it tomorrow for Thursday, are we far enough out in the morning?
It calls for reasonable notice. We usually shoot for the 2 to 3 day window.
It's very tight.
Do we need to move the meeting to the next week, maybe?
Items of greater interest to the public require more notice. Items of lesser interest to the public require less.
Can you email Ms. Norfleet, the consultant, and want to see if everybody can do it the next
Yeah, I mean,
Thursday?
it's-
And then notice it tomorrow, that would be
Plenty.
9 days of notification, should be plenty.
9 days.
2, that is a whole week.
If it bumps it a week.
Oh, okay,
10.
okay,
If
that'd
we
be
do it in the
great,
morning,
yeah.
it'd be 9.
So what's the date that we're shooting for?
We'll try to, instead of this Thursday, try to do it the next
Thursday, and then you got,
Or earlier, because we've got the 5:30 we have.
let's do that. Let's do
We'll do
that.
it
Yeah,
5:30.
meeting at 5:30 that day.
But we could do that one at 2 to 4,
Let's do that. Well, I would entertain a motion for it.
2 to 4 to you.
That way we
I
can.
was gonna make a trip to check on some elderly health issues.
Well, why don't we just see if we can get her to coordinate something in the future?
We've got plenty of time for a notice if you want to check.
Let's just move it to the future to get a notice.
I mean, just want to be clear, any time that we put on here is gonna cause people problems. Are you guys gonna come back with like
We weren't
a
planning on
date?
making decisions or anything.
I wanna kind of move us along.
Just get information.
I'm not against this, we need to come to a decision.
But for clarification, when everything was put on hold, there's 3 projects, not one. Are you okay with the Hollows project moving forward? Because we're bidding it right now.
Yes.
Okay.
So do we need to take votes on these, just to be super clear?
Really, there's appropriations out there, and you just asked them to be put on hold, so it really takes the agreement of the mayor, because he actually has valid appropriations out there.
Okay, then that's
So
fine.
mine is like the hollows, the water line, and the ARPA payments, I would think you would want to continue.
Go ahead, Mr. Mansfield.
Yes, but I'm just looking at the minutes. Commissioner Boyd made a motion to use revenue replacement funds only to pay for daily operations, so that the timeline for this money is spent is removed. And the first part of that motion was to use all revenue replacement for general expenses and utilities and unappropriate any items that have not been spent and cease work on any ongoing projects until they are reassessed, and both of those that carried. That's what, from the committee. So now you're looking at, another motion would need to be made to unencumber approximately $8.4 million from this list, if you minus out the water lines, or maybe there's something else I'm missing. You said the hollows.
Right, you want to send it to full
So-
commission unappropriated.
So you're looking at, unencumbering about, $7.8 million, I guess. If you're talking about the hollows and the $9 million. Anything else I'm missing from that?
Well, we already voted on that 9 million though.
Correct, I'm talking about, that. I'm not counting that in this total. I'm removing that, like, so if you add these two columns up, it's gonna be like $7.8 million is what we're talking about, because if we remove the Hollows Drainage Improvement Project and the water lines, because we're keeping them encumbered,
okay.
we're keeping those dedicated. Like,
Yeah,
what-
I'm doing it the other way.
I'm
thinking like
talking about what money is left over. I don't care how much is there, I care how much is left to unencumber. And that's basically the motion that Commissioner Boyd made last month that we all voted on. And hearing, it just makes sense, especially since there's, White House doesn't want an EMS station. Sumner County saying we do want one, and some people are. You got a city offering to build one for free in 2-3 years. So it's just like there's questions to be asked here. It's like she's just talking about unencumbering that, putting it back. So therefore, we're not under the timeline of constraints. So we're going to use that money as a replacement for our own purposes. And if we want to do these projects moving forward, that was intent to pull that money back out.
That's, I mean, I think.
That was what, am I correct?
That's a
Okay.
good.
So, just to be super clear here, does it make sense to take a clarification and just add those items which specifically we want to be unencumbered?
Let me ask a few questions. If you're in the process of a health department grant, do you want to come back and unencumber the match to it?
I mean, I think we
You're
just,
in-
I think we
you're
put those up to the vote. I mean,
That's
again,
just
I'd
my
be against
question.
it,
It
but
makes on the
like.
grant. That's my only question.
If I could have,
Yeah, go ahead.
Commissioner Klein, did that come, the health department, it was in general ops, we talked about that, right?
Yes, yes.
Where do we leave off on that?
Well-
Or Commissioner Miller?
As far as I recall, where it was left was the architect decided that it wasn't worth keeping the building, that we'd be better off building a whole new building. We're still awaiting a meeting with Jamie Clary, I believe, where we're going to see if they have a property to put it on. If not, I guess we would go back and do the building where the one would be demolished. But the $660,000 never came up in general ops. My understanding was that the land was our portion of the commitment, and that the rest would be paid for by this budget balance in the general budget of ARPA, and anything over that would be paid for by the state, but nothing would come out of the pocket of the county.
So that's different than what we just heard. We just had clarification. I'm not saying, I don't know.
He
which
just
one.
said what he.
Yeah, I just said what the
same
mayor
thing, just
said.
in a weird way.
Yeah.
Are you guys in agreement on this? I just want to.
The
That six is, I guess I'll ask it really simple. Is the 660,800 required to secure a matching grant? It is. Okay, we both agree. Sorry.
Yeah.
I misunderstood.
That's
So,
my concern.
So it might be like
I may have been a little
$7 million
confused.
that we're talking about left over. If you pull out the health department, the water lines. and-
yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's hard for me. I'm trying to just move them. I guess I'm trying to.
Unencumbering.
No, I know, I get it. I'm trying to, what I think makes sense to do is to go down here line by line on the, 1, 2, 3, 4, on the budget balances, and just vote to keep them, take a note of which ones we want to unencumber, and then vote on those specifically. That way we get a true number.
Let me read down how they're operating right now, that way you know what we're.
Yes.
The first two on the one you're looking through coverage is the first two going down the right on the revenue replacement. The 206,522 and the 584,765, that's the remaining of the COVID-19
For
salary supplement.
salary.
The
Now,
206
question
is
on
our
that.
estimate, the 584 we don't think we're gonna need, but we can't be 100% sure because we're still running during the year.
Okay.
But they are only used for that, so they won't go anywhere if you leave them. There's no risk for them to going anywhere.
Mr. Mansfield.
But
Or Mr. Mansfield and Ms. Boyd.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Ms. Boyd.
So, but when we look at the 584, we need to keep in mind as we talk to the consultants, we need to have a plan for them. And with Mr. Long, I like the idea of more ambulances and police cars, but that's what that money's gonna turn into in a really near kind of plan. So we're not spending it right now, but we're gonna have to have a plan to spend it
Robert,
on
if you-
something.
But right now, I'm saying,
It's
the
not
206
going
I've got in there
anywhere.
is an estimate, and it changes every day because the EMS has overtime. So the 206 could be a little high, a little low. We wouldn't
Yeah,
be able
it-
to cover all that.
So,
That's gonna be my question. When does this burn off and done? Are we done?
You can do these all the way until next December, but I would not recommend that because a couple of issues. One, it's gonna make it very hard to spend every dollar if we got a moving target.
Our goal is to get rid of this bad idea and the bad.
July,
bad
I would recommend not putting it next year's budget. Highly
Okay, I
recommend.
just want, like, just get rid of this.
I would highly
Well,
recommend
we're
next year
gonna
not
try.
putting it in there.
Okay, that's what
And there's
I'm-
nothing for it in here anyway right now.
That's what I'm trying to make sure we're
but
doing.
for now, I think it makes sense.
So we keep the 206 and the 584.
For now, yes. I mean, that would be the, so let's take a vote on this. So I would entertain a motion to maintain the 206, 522, and the 584, 785 as encumbered through this budget cycle.
So moved.
And we have a second? Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. I would entertain a motion to keep the water line encumbered.
So move.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
I would entertain a motion to unencumber the 500,000 for consultants.
So move.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion, Mr. Long? Any discussion on that one?
That one would be good to put.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, unencumbered. I'm making different notes here on these. I'll just make the motions. I would make a motion to, maintain the encumbrance of 660,800, for the health department building.
So move.
Can I?
Motion, I'll second it, or I've motioned it.
I'll second.
You
Yeah,
said
whatever
go. All right,
direction
go
you
ahead,
wanna-
Mr. Wade.
While we're on this, and I don't think we're gonna come back to it, I would just like a deadline on when we're gonna get an answer on the health department. What we're gonna do with the health department, if we could get an idea, we're gonna get this resolved by July, August.
We're hoping to have our meeting this Friday with Jamie Clary still. And if, yeah, he'll give us a yes or a no, and then we'll
Okay.
know
I just
where
want
we're
a
gonna put it.
deadline.
Yeah, we should know very soon.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. I will entertain a motion. I'm gonna be against it, but I think I'll probably lose out on this one. So somebody else may wanna make a motion to unencumber, 1.539 million for the, EMS building.
Second.
No, I didn't make the motion.
Oh,
I'll make the motion.
Okay, we have a motion.
and I'll second
We have a
it.
motion and a
Question,
second.
what about the 2 million? That's,
Actually, I guess we can do both.
it's both.
We can do both, if you guys want.
I would like to split them.
You wanna split them?
Yeah.
Okay. So
you're voting,
we're now on the 1.539.
Yes.
EMS building, which one are you talking about?
Well,
Are you talking about White House?
the one that they don't want, yes.
But have we, I mean,
Let's finish the one off first, the 1.5.
There's
Are we
also
finished?
some EMS work on airport and that's why I want to keep the 2.
Okay, so what is the Mr. Long, what is the 1.539?
There's 2 of them in there, and look. They went back and forth during the budget, and I'd have to actually.
Yeah, I think there are 3 total. Two that we're using this on, and the
There's
third
one
one.
down in
bumped.
White House, and the other one's in.
So we don't, so the problem with this is we don't know
Which one's gonna cost more?
which one's gonna, we can't split these out in order to unencumber.
One of them's going to be under general revenue because it had to have the possibility for COVID-19 treatment. Which one was the COVID-19 treatment? The 2 million. Westmoreland. So that's the Westmoreland's the 2 million, the 1.5 right now is the White House.
So y'all go ahead, however y'all wanna
Well,
dispose of
Get a
this.
motion.
Can I ask a question of David?
Go ahead,
Long?
go ahead.
Weren't those together originally gonna be the maintenance building and the combination maintenance building and repair center on Airport Road?
There was at one time, and that was the year before, and it was all nixed, and there was 2
Okay.
EMS
Right.
stations.
So none of that is committed for Airport Road anymore?
Well, you can,
The 1.5 maybe, but it's not designated to that, it's for maintenance facility.
Can we hear from the mayor?
this 1.5 is leftover from that.
Okay.
That job left hanging here.
Okay.
But it was just called for maintenance, construction, or it wasn't necessarily.
But that was gonna be a $4 million building, 4.2 million.
Is there anything that 1.5 is allocated toward right now?
Chairman Klein said he has a plan for it.
Well, we do have to have indoor parking for ambulances on Airport Road because it's too cumbersome to,
Is there a plan?
I'm working on it right now and I should have it very, very soon. I just want to give the blessing of EMS on
Okay.
The 2 million is the Westmoreland.
Well, we're on the
Is-
1.5, let's let's dispose of the 1.5 first.
And that's
Go ahead,
part
Ms.
of
Boyd.
White House, right?
Nope.
No?
Nope,
Okay.
this is the leftover on the
it.
maintenance.
Okay,
Okay.
so,
Hold on,
so
Ms.
do
Boyd,
we?
Oh, Ms. Boyd had her hand up, and then I'll get back to you. Ms.
Okay.
Boyd.
So with the 1.5, I would make a motion to unencumber it, because that's the easiest money to spend.
We-
That column, the.
We already have that motion's already up.
Okay, so
We
we're,
have-
we're.
we have the
You made the
motion.
motion,
unencumbered,
Dave seconded,
but
we
I-
haven't voted.
Yeah, we
We
haven't
haven't
voted yet.
voted,
Go
okay.
ahead.
Well, if we unencumber that and we spend it, then we'll have to reallocate money
Well, we'd have to come out of the general fund.
out of general
That's the
fund.
whole
Okay,
idea. That's the
okay.
whole idea.
Then I'm good with it.
Okay.
Local capital.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? I'm good with this one. The 2 million. This is the one, sorry, I mixed them up. But So, yeah, I'd entertain a motion
It's,
to unencumber the 2 million. And these are for the EMS facilities,
White House and Westmoreland?
correct?
I have concerns with
Well,
White House.
there's no
because-
motion.
I'll make a motion.
We have a motion.
Westmoreland's in
We have a
2
motion
million.
and a second. Discussion? I'm against this one, I'll just say it. Go ahead.
We don't know about White House. We think I feel like White House may not happen, but I don't know. But we definitely need Westmoreland because we have new ambulances coming. Currently, the EMS is in an old house
Yep.
with a modified
We talked
garage.
about this extensively.
Okay, and so I'm concerned about unencumbering that. So I think I gotta be against that.
Mr. Smith and Ms. Boyd.
White House, I'd like to hear more from people. I know the commissioner up in there has concerns for his district, and I tend to agree with him on some stuff there, because I know some people up there in White House that would like to possibly see another station in their community, so I'm not sure that I want to risk White House.
Ms. Boyd?
I think that, until we meet with the consultant, I would like to unencumber it until we hear what the consultant has to say
Okay.
on
Because
what
we're not-
options we
One
have. I mean, it's not
Yeah,
like
go
we're
around.
moving on it at the moment anyways. When I spoke to the consultant, they said that their concerns are, at this point, that we have not identified where we're gonna put it. I know the mayor has said that he has planned, but we have a lot of planning to do before December. So I'd just like to hear what they say. They're gonna give us a time frame and see how it lays out.
Mr. Mansfield?
I mean, I just have to disagree with some comments that, when White House specifically says we don't want it there. So it's like they're not gonna tell Sumner County not to do it, but they don't, I mean, their initial thing was like, hey, they'll work with Sumner County, but it's like, they don't think they need it. I mean, that's from the city leaders, that's from the sheriff, I mean, the police chief, the fire chief, the mayor, the city administrator. So, I mean, I think there's just different narratives going out there that just aren't true necessarily, but I know there's an offer, again, from another city to do one for free. But it's like, I know that there's different, it's been discussed, and it's not necessarily, there's a question if it's not needed, and then if there's an ability to unencumber it, knowing that you can still spend it for it, there's no reason not to, is how I see it.
So I'm gonna get my own cue here. I might potentially, given that, like I said, sometimes the truth changes. And I would potentially be for, if truly, there's analysis and we decided that, yay, verily, we don't need this there. I could potentially be for unencumbering that and find, because we could certainly find other uses for.
But you can also still spend it if you didn't want to have it there.
But it's always, right now it's rolled up into this 2 million. That's my problem. It's not split in half. So go ahead, Mr. Klein.
There still is the Westmoreland that's
Right.
necessary. It won't be 2 million, but Mr. Mansfield is right.
Doesn't stop.
If we unencumber it, we can always encumber it again.
Mhm.
So,
And my second, could we hear from the mayor, because he had his
yeah,
hand
go
up?
ahead.
I just want to correct, one thing's been said here. White House is not against a station up there. White House had concerns with communications with a station up there, which I assured him that we would work out and talk through before anything's put in place. White House in that area needs another station. And we can bring in the maps and show you the coverage areas and the dynamic call system, but we need a station up there. But that's second behind Westmoreland. Westmoreland has to be rebuilt. We can't put an ambulance in the house anymore.
I understand.
So, you know, we can kick the can down the road all we want, but we've got to build a station up there. And then we can talk about White House.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
And we're on timeline with both of them.
Any further discussion on these?
Do we know how much that one in Westmoreland costs?
We don't have property yet, correct?
We are finishing up, we're gonna bring that to y'all, we're finishing up the appraisal work on that, to bring it to you to give you an idea of how much it costs.
Mr.
If you
Mayor.
unencumber the money, there's no timeline.
So,
You can do, we don't have to have a timeline.
what's
It's just what's the right thing to do.
we'll go ahead and, anybody further comments? I think people's minds are on this one. All right, all in favor of unencumbering the 2 million?
Aye.
All opposed? No.
Nope.
2 noes. Motion carries.
Who said that?
Mr. Schmidt and myself. The 1.5 million, this is 1.5 million for, maintenance.
So moved, unencumbered.
Motion to unencumber?
Second.
Second, motion and a second, any discussion? I'd like to hear from the county mayor on this one, Mr. Mayor.
Pardon
Do
me?
we have any plans with this 1.5 million? Do we have anything in
Under the
motion?
maintenance facility,
Yes.
that is Chairman Klein's plan.
Mr. Klein, is there any plans on this?
Well, the plan still has been the TRC building.
Yeah.
Commissioner Moss brought another building to my attention that I have not gone and checked out. He is on general ops. I don't think we'll get close to spending $1.5 million regardless of what we do.
All in favor of this?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, so that is unencumbered as well. Hollows drainage, does anybody want to make a motion to consider that one? No?
No.
Okay,
it should stay encumbered.
Oak Grove Fire Department, any motions there? ECC alert system. Sheriff's,
I have the ECC alert system. I have been asking fire department chiefs, and I also asked Mr. Guthrie, and none of them seem to even know what the ECC alert system is.
My understanding, that's only 32% of the cost too.
So
we talked about, I remember this discussion during budget, Mr. Mayor, go ahead.
Yeah, this is a system with ECC, and yes, Mr. Guthrie knows about it. This is 1/3 of the cost. Before we move forward on it, we have to have a commitment from the cities that they're gonna pay their portion, because this isn't the total amount. This is only 32%, which is what the county is
Do
required.
we
to pay.
have any commitment from the cities?
We talked about the last ECC meeting, we're supposed to come back at the next meeting, and they're supposed to have it encumbered in their budget. Either yay or nay if they're gonna encumber it in their next year.
I would like to make a motion to unencumber this contingent on the cities. If those cities come back and they don't provide their amount to match it, that this would automatically trigger to be unencumbered. That's what I would like to make a motion for.
Oh, okay.
Second.
Yeah.
I,
Motion and second. Ms. Boyd?
I'm in favor of going ahead and planning it out. This is in the revenue replacement fund. We can always pay them out of the general fund this piece. So let's find some ambulance and police cars and then play them.
Do you want to amend my motion? You just amend mine.
So I would amend the, well, I would not put the
The stipulation
condition on it.
Okay.
I would go ahead
Second
and
on that?
unencumber it and plan on paying it out of general.
You know what, I'm fine with that on this one. I'm good with that. And you don't have to make it, if the second's good with just removing that stipulation, I'm good with it.
Which, are we
This is
on
the
the,
101,000, the ECC alert system, 101,292.
so we're keeping that encumbered?
No,
No.
let's do unencumber that, because that we don't yet have we don't have a commitment from the cities, we can always pay it out of the general fund.
And the Oak Grove, we're keeping encumbered.
Well, we need to take a vote, yes, Oak Grove, nobody made any motion, but we do need to take a vote on the ECC. All in favor to vote on unencumbering this?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. And then the sheriff's office mini microwave link, any motions? Okay. I think we've got Mr. Long, is this, I'd like to get your take here, is this pretty definitive guidance?
So right now, let's make sure we're on the final. We left at 402,700 for highway, and it's not on hold because that's what you gave to highway. They're actually doing asphalt initial items.
Right.
Or I'm sorry, the highway.
Here's the easiest way to do this is to go through what we are unencumbering.
So anything not unencumbered is okay to move forward
Correct.
at this point? Okay,
Correct.
let's go list of what you have unencumbered at this point.
Correct.
Recap it to make sure we got it.
So it is the 500,000 for consultants. It is the 2 million and the 1.539 million for the EMS buildings. It is the 1.5 million for maintenance, and it is the 101,297 for the ECC alert system. 292, sorry. That's what we have voted to unencumber.
You may want to suspend the rule and ask the chief deputy about the sheriff's office mini micro link, because I've not heard anything about it for a while. He may know if that's still on or not.
Motion to suspend the rules.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any notes on this?
Yes, the mayor, his IT staff, my IT staff, and I had a meeting last week about the microwave link and the need for it. It's basically a redundant system to ensure the connection between the courthouse and the jail is active, to ensure that we can maximize video appearances and not transport so many inmates to the courthouse.
Okay, thank you, sir.
We're ready to
All right,
move
I'll move us
forward.
back into our, anybody want to try to remove that one? Okay. I think we have disposed of this, Mr. Long.
Okay.
I would just ask Mr. Long because even though these are unencumbered, I would like to still track them. If you could add one more column, moving forward, just like somewhere to track that these projects have been
Well,
unencumbered.
I think the easiest way to probably do that is, since you're gonna unencumber, you'll need to send a resolution that you just voted to the county commission. When we unencumber, we'll just keep that resolution.
That's fine. That's
We'll know
fine.
where they went to, because when we
Okay.
pull them out, it'll make you.
That makes sense. Okay, Mr. Long, please continue.
Now we're down to the revenue.
All right,
analysis.
I'm gonna give us a 5-minute bathroom break. We're almost through, item C, an hour in.
Get the,
We hit that?